Welcome to What We Watch When We Drink, a booze dancing media podcast featuring lively discussions about movies, TV shows, and anything else that we're watching while we drink our favorite boozy libations. If you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever else you get your podcasts. Good evening, gents.
Hey, boys.
We are back.
We're live.
Well, we're not live. We're alive.
We are alive.
We are alive, but we're not live.
We are here for episode 7.
What are we calling this?
A Haggis walks into a bar.
This is our pre-Burns Night celebration.
Robert Burns, big poet, made a fortune in poetry.
Did he?
He started this Poem Incorporated.
You know, I'm looking at your thing here. He was 37 when he died?
Only 37.
He was a youngster. Died in debt. Very, very popular.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
yeah.
Now or then?
Both.
More now than then, but you know.
Both.
But hey, before we get into all the Burns Night fun, shall we do the usual? Where we're available?
Sure.
Yeah, we got to tell everyone where to listen to us.
Oh yeah, so you could find us on Apple Podcasts, Google, Audible, Stitcher, Spotify, and you can find us on boozdancing.com. And if you have questions, comments, rude remarks, all that good fun stuff, email us at boozdancing@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Please subscribe. Please rate us. Please give us comments. Tell your friends. Tell your coworkers. Your next of kin. Tell them all.
Next of kin.
And Ange, you're at Gila. You're at Match.com and Grindr too, right? Is that where you were?
Yes.
So for those of you out there, swipe right or left, whatever.
Swipe right, swipe left, whatever turns you on. So anyway, back to Burns Night.
Burns Night. So we all know Burns Night because it's traditionally a whiskey drinking night, right?
You're damn right it is.
Certainly is.
Whiskey.
And this time last year, Mike and I were at a lovely Burns Night dinner sponsored by the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society at what was the name of the place? The Shakespeare?
The Shakespeare Room. Yeah.
The Shakespeare in Manhattan. That was a lovely night.
Wow.
So it was a very, very nice night.
Fancy schmancy.
Yeah, it was our whirlwind tour of New York. We leave at 4:00. We get there by 6, and we're back home by midnight.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a fast one. Fast
Fun.
and boozy.
They had a piper. They had a haggis. They had 6 whiskeys. It was a nice night.
It was a very nice night.
That sounds fun.
It was a lot of fun. And we did that, I think, 2 years in a row. But sadly, we can't do it this year.
No.
So we're going to do a little virtual Burns Night for us.
Yeah. So we should start, most importantly, with a toast with some whiskey. Does anyone have any whiskey?
I got a few.
So what do we start? We're going to start with the Single Cask Nation Glenglassaugh 6-year-old.
All right. Let me do a little clink, a little cheers.
Tell us a little about the whiskey first. What is the whiskey?
It is Glenglassaugh. It's a Highlands malt, distilled March 2012, bottled 2018. First fill bourbon octave, 54.7.
Whiskey with a 5. Nice. We love whiskey with a 5.
One of a handful of bottles.
Hey, are we supposed to read a toast?
I will read the toast for you. Yes, we have the beginning of the Burns Night evening. Starts off every year with the Selkirk Grace. Some have meat but cannot eat. Some have none that want it. But we have meat and we can eat, so let the Lord be thanked.
We had that young Scottish gentleman from the society last year reading them, and he could really turn it on. He did a good job. I think he's an actor as well.
Mr. Brooking is good at that as well.
Oh, I'm sure. Simon's great.
He's the Toastmaster, right?
Exactly. He's the Toastmaster General. Ooh, that smells nice. Really good. That smells like dessert in a glass.
Ooh, that does smell good, doesn't it?
Now, is an octave smaller than a typical barrel?
An octave is eighth the size of a standard cask.
Wow.
It contains approximately 50 liters of whiskey. Shorter maturation in a 1/8 size octave cask.
So a 6-year-old's a little bit older. And when you say a handful of bottles, because it's an octave, they really only got a couple bottles out of it, right? Well, I went in. Boy, that's good.
Ooh, that is good. I haven't had this for a while. This is yummy.
That is good.
That's like fruity and spicy and all that good stuff.
Really nice. And you said this is a Highland. That's what you said, right?
Yeah, Highlands region.
Nice.
I don't know where it is, though.
There's an interesting note. I can't quite put my finger on it. Is it like clove, maybe, or something like that?
There's a spicy, I don't know, it's clove, but I get a spice like that, a dark spice. Mm-hmm. So we are here tonight to talk Scottish stuff.
Scottish stuff.
TV and film, which blends nicely with our Burns Night festival. So the first place I thought we might talk about is things that we might have already watched, made in Scotland, about Scotland. The one thing that everyone thinks of is Braveheart, right?
Braveheart.
Yeah.
Or Outlander.
Outlander. Yeah,
right.
The two.
Currently Outlander. Before that was Braveheart. There's probably other bigger movies
In between the Disney classic Brave
and Brave.
So
right.
Brave.
So you guys, tell me about your favorite Scottish themed TV or movies you've seen.
So does it have to be a film in Scotland, or does it have to be with a Scottish actor?
Or with a Scottish actor?
Either or.
Because we're going to get to this. We're going to talk actors and actresses soon enough. But let's talk your favorite vehicles.
I got to say two that really stand out for just many, many years, and I think both were filmed in Scotland, was Local Hero, which is an older movie. You know, Burt Lancaster and Peter Riegert.
Love that movie.
That one and Trainspotting were two big ones that took place in in Scotland, and I think Trainspotting takes place in Edinburgh.
I believe it is Edinburgh. Yeah.
I believe.
I know you're a big fan of Trainspotting.
I like that movie. I really, really like that movie. And I remember seeing it in the theater, and it just had it had a great soundtrack, and it just was just a driving beat throughout, and it was just fast and furious, and it was interesting. I couldn't understand half of what they said because they had a pretty thick accented crowd. You know, McGregor, Ewan McGregor, he was in, it was the Danny Boyle film, and the first one I ever saw him in was Shallow Grave. And that was really the first time I ever saw Ewan McGregor in anything. And then I saw him in Trainspotting.
Kelly MacDonald's in that too.
Correct. Yeah. And she was quite lovely in that film. It was nice to see her career really, really grow from that, because she's had a lot of serious parts. She's done pretty well for herself.
That was like one of those movies where so many folks came from it at a young age.
Oh, yeah. Well, you have Robert Carlyle, Peter Mullan's in it, Ewan Bremer, Johnny Lee Miller.
Johnny Lee Miller. He was Angelina Jolie's first husband. Yeah.
I did not know that. That's a very, very good film. I haven't seen it in a long time. And I never saw the follow-up.
There was a follow-up?
Yep. There was a second one that came out a few years ago.
Ah.
I have not seen it, though.
With the same actors and actresses?
Same crew. Danny Boyle was directing. I don't know if he wrote it, but he was directing, and he's got the same. Everybody came back. Huh. McGregor, Carlyle, Bremer, all these guys.
So it just moves the story to current times?
I believe so. Maybe it's like Trainspotting 20 years later.
Trainspotting 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Well, I have to just add to your Local Hero comment. That is one of my all-time favorite Scottish theme movies. I saw it way before I ever got into whiskey. Way before I knew Scotland's in my future. And I have not seen it since my conversion into a whiskey drinker. And I would like to go back to it. It's all about a small little village in the middle of nowhere on a little island. It's not, the main part of Scotland. It makes me think of Islay. It makes me think of the Isle of Mull, all these the outer islands, and guy living on a shack on the beach. It's stars and looking up at the sky. It just sounds even more romantic now than when I first saw it, now that having been there a couple times.
Well, it's funny because after seeing that, I never really knew much about the Northern Lights, and that kind of obsessed me. It's like, I really want to see these things. Yeah. But I think you got to go pretty far north to see them.
I don't think so. I think most of Scotland can see them.
Can they really?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, yeah. Now we got to go.
You cannot find that thing online. Mm-hmm. It's not easily found. I need to see that thing again one day. Mike, favorite Scottish
I love watching Outlander. It's just so picturesque. There's the Scottish piece. When they come to America, but the Scottish part, the Battle of Culloden, everything they show, whether it's historically accurate or not, it's just really great. And now the thing with Sam Hewitt and Grant McTavish, Kilts, I can't wait to see it. The trailer dropped the other day. Angelo shared it, and it's crazy how it comes out with this thing.
Yeah. That's on
it's like a Rick Steves gone wrong. He's two ill-prepared imbeciles are driving around the countryside.
Yeah, that one's gotten a lot of traction, hasn't it? Is it? And it's based on a book, I believe, right? A series of romance novels, I think.
Yes.
Wait, are you talking about Men in Kilts? Or are you talking about Outlander?
Outlander.
Okay.
Yes, Diane Gallabon.
Gabaldon or something like that.
Gabaldon? Is that what
And
it
Yeah,
is?
my wife has read the series at least, I don't know,
She's
3-4 times.
seven books, something like that.
I've only seen parts of them, but they look really beautiful, at
Yeah.
least on that side. Anything else?
I'd watch anything that's in Scotland. I want to go see Local Hero now.
That's very good.
I put one on my list. I saw it on Netflix, and I think it's 5 seasons, and I've seen the first 4, and it's called Shetland. And it's filmed in the Shetland Islands.
Okay.
And it's in that classic UK model of a cop who's got a bad problem in his past.
Right.
And every season it's a new horrid crime. And him and his little group of 4 cops have to figure out this horrible crime while trying to get his life together. I think the main guy's divorced and he's got a kid. But it's great. It's in this little tiny island, Shetland Islands, on one of the islands. And they're only like 5 or 6 episodes per season, I think. And I think the 6th or the 5th season is not available yet.
Okay.
I think it's like on Acorn or one of those British what's that, Britbox?
I have no idea.
I think it's called
Britbox.
Britbox is the other one. So I highly recommend it. It's really fun. And again, it's just like beautiful to watch. They have to fly to an outer island, and the outer island is like the size of a postage stamp, and little towns are just little sea shanty-like places. It's just awesome. And one that, like you mentioned earlier, was Brave. My kids loved it. I loved it.
I've never seen it.
It's
and
really
that's,
good.
Kelly
That's
McDonald.
Kelly
Kelly
McDonald.
McDonald.
She's Merida, and there's so many people in that. The guy from Grey's Anatomy that plays the character Owen in it. He's Macduff and his idiot son.
Oh, really?
And through the whole thing, you can't understand a single thing either one of them says. But one has a more mature, older voice and a younger, and it's the same guy just blathering on and heavy Scottish. It's just hysterical.
Well,
It's just really well done.
I just pulled up the cast, and we're going to talk about some of these
It's a
people.
who's who.
Billy Connolly,
Yeah.
he's the king. Emma Thompson's the queen.
Yeah.
Kevin McKidd, why do I know him?
Kevin McKidd, he's McGuff or whatever, right? Is that?
Yeah, but where do I know him
He's
from?
the Grey's Anatomy guy.
Well, he was in
Someone else
Rome.
He's in Percy Jackson.
Oh, he's in Rome. That's right. He's in
He's
Rome.
in Rome,
He's in
and he's
Rome.
also in Trainspotting.
Robbie Coltrane is Lord Dingwall.
Yeah.
Julie Walters is the witch. Craig Ferguson is Lord McIntyre.
Yeah.
It's a star-studded cast.
and it's fun.
And shockingly, you may not know this, but John Ratzenberger's in it because he doesn't do a lot of animated films.
No, not at all.
Never.
I've never heard of him. Who? Ratson something? What now?
Ratzenberger.
He
I
was
think in
sporadically on a television show too, wasn't he? Every once in a while, he showed up on something in a bar, I think,
I
right?
don't know.
It's a little known fact that he is the Pixar Lucky Charm.
He's the Lucky Charm.
He is
Yeah.
the Lucky Charm. Boy, that boy is.
He's required to be in all of them.
He really is. He's very good at all of them, actually. I have a little fun fact for you
Fun fact.
about Robert Burns.
Robert Burns.
Auld Lang Syne. Do you know it?
Yes.
I've heard of it.
Top 3 world's most popular songs.
Really?
Top 3, according to Guinness.
How about that?
It's Robbie Burns?
Top 3, Robbie Burns. How are we doing on our whiskey? We ready to try another one?
Yeah,
Sure.
I think so. Let's check them out. What do you got for number 2 here?
It's one I actually don't have, but I'll have to. I don't even have the info on it
The
anymore.
Lagavulin.
It's a Lagavulin Distillers edition from 2012.
Ooh, very nice. Very nice.
You guys might have more info on the samples.
It is
All
a
it says here, Lagavulin 16 Distillers Edition 2012, Pedro Jimenez Cask. It's only a 43 though,
Right.
so it's losing points right there.
So those distiller editions, they do that. They're only like they're not
It lost 7 points. Sorry,
I know.
sorry. I hate to be a harsh critic, but
Look at the color of that
and
compared
while
to
this is a podcast, look at the color. Boy,
I know.
that's if you could see the color, you'd really like it.
so that's a PXE. That's a PXE one for sure.
You know, I see the color, and I'm expecting to get the fruit and the sherry,
and then you get slapped
and
in the face.
then I forgot that it was Lagavulin for a second,
Yeah.
and then it kicked me in the teeth with the peat.
Isn't that weird?
That's very nice. That's good. All right, fine. I give it back at 7 points.
So onward and upward. Scottish actors. There's a lot of great actors.
Yes, there are.
There aren't any. Move on.
So I have a little list of them, and we can talk about them maybe as we go here.
Sure.
Billy Connolly. Who likes Billy Connolly?
Billy Connolly first saw Billy Connolly as head of the class. He filled in for Howard Hessman when Howard Hessman lost the show.
Oh, that's right.
He left the show, and Billy Connolly, and that was my first exposure to him. And then you realize he was a huge musician and a stand-up comedian, and he was the warm-up act for his own band and everything. And he's the big yin. He's like a folk hero over there. He was knighted. But you're like, how is this guy knighted? He was on head of the class.
That's right.
I mean, he's huge. He's just huge over there.
He's always seemed to be a bit almost like George Carlin. He's got this rarefied place in comedy, definitely in Scotland and the UK, and maybe even broader. He's very, very funny in a lot of different ways and very talented. We just talked about him being in Brave, and he's been in lots of small stuff.
He was in the Hobbit. He plays Thorin's cousin who rides over on his war pig.
Oh, I didn't watch it.
He comes over on this wild boar and meets him up and clobbers a guy with a big axe or a big hammer.
But he's not a lead actor in a lot of things, is he?
No.
Right?
No. The only thing that he really had a front position on was Mrs. Brown, which is a great movie if anybody wants to go see it.
I don't know it.
He plays basically the manservant for Queen Victoria. And Queen Victoria's husband passes away, and she basically leaves and goes to Scotland and is in her castle in Scotland in mourning for forever. And he basically is her romantic interest for the rest of her life.
Huh.
And it's Mrs. Brown. She refers to herself as Mrs. Brown. He's Brown, and it's a really, really good movie.
Huh. Good one.
Check it out. I know the name. I just haven't seen it.
You guys, somebody mentioned this in our email exchange about this episode, which is, by the way,
episode 7, Crash and Burns Night.
Crash and Burns Night.
No. A haggis walks into a bar, or is it a pub? Should we call it a pub?
Let's say pub. Yeah.
All right, we'll call it a pub. A haggis walks into a pub.
Somebody mentioned this name was Robbie Coltrane.
Oh, Robbie Coltrane.
Yes.
Now, he is just prolific.
When we first got the BBC coming over here as, dribs and drabs of shows, you got Cratur, where he plays the detective, and he's really good in it. And then he's in not really a good movie, but Nuns on the Run. He's in a movie. Yeah, and it's fun. I still remember the whole "How do you bless yourself?" and they're just spectacles, testicles, wallet, and watch, because they're trying to figure out which way they go with it.
So wait, Austin Powers stole that? Is what you're saying?
It's him and I think it's just something they all say over there.
Okay.
And it's him and one of the Monty Python guys, Eric Idle's in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I liked Eric Idle, which is why I wanted to see the movie. You see Robbie Coltrane, and he almost kind of steals it. And then he goes on from there with a lot of other, again, not lead, but certainly a guy who fills out roles. And he wound up in Harry Potter, like anybody who ever worked apparently in England or Scotland. And he's Hagrid, which was just tremendous.
And that's a major role, right? He's not, the 12th Hobbit or something.
But he's in 2 Bond movies.
Yeah.
Where he plays kind of like the KGB Russian guy. And he does a great scene in Ocean's 12 where they do the Lost in Translation with him.
Oh, that's right.
They throw Matt Damon out. And they do it at the bar.
He's definitely, you find a lot of UK actors, I suppose it's true of US actors too in some sense, that don't translate well to other countries. He is one of those UK actors, there are many, of course, that has, and he's in a lot of stuff. Everyone knows his face. You may not know his name, but you know his face. Ewan McGregor.
Was he in like a science fiction movie of some sort?
You mean with the Force and the Jedi?
Star. I don't, something like that. Was he in something?
It's possible. I'm not sure.
How do you fall into that role? Huh?
He's reprising that role.
How do you fall into that role? You're going to replace Alec Guinness. I'm going to what now?
Yeah.
He's not going to replace Alec Guinness. He's going to be young Alec Guinness.
I'm just saying, but you're stepping into a role that was Sir Alec Guinness. You're like, okay.
Yeah, McGregor's got quite the career. And
he makes it his own. He's great in that role. I mean, he's had a really good career.
And he's good in other things as well. I think Trainspotting was sort of his beginnings, wasn't it?
Well, like I said, he was in before that. He was in Shallow Grave.
Shallow Grave, yeah. Which
was, I think Danny Boyle's first big movie.
He seems to show up in places I don't think of too much. He was in I'm looking at his list. He was in Moulin Rouge and all the Star Wars movies.
Oh, yeah. Moulin Rouge. I remember that.
Angels and Demons, Black Hawk Down. So he's got a little bit of a list on him. That's for sure.
And Angels and Demons, he was unlikable. Yeah, he was the Camerlengo.
Did you read the book?
The Pope's right-hand man. No.
I read the book.
I read the book too.
And I swear, Dan Brown just doesn't know how to end a book.
No, it feels like he's always trying to write the next book.
Yeah.
No. My problem with the guy is he builds all these big, huge conspiracies, and then it's just one guy.
Yeah.
It's like the opposite of like the JFK thing, where it's like, you have the lone gunman, but then there's all the conspiracy.
Yeah.
He goes the other way. There's the big conspiracy, and then it's just one guy.
It's just a lone gunman. Let it go. Move on.
David Tennant.
He was, one of Doctor Who's. So if you're one of these people who's a nerdish person,
never watched a Doctor Who episode of my life.
He's a very good doctor. Not as good as Tom Baker, but a very good doctor. But he shows up in Jessica Jones as a horrible character.
Good Jessica Jones
as Kilgrave. Oh my God, that was horrible.
Yes,
just horrible. He's like one of those guys where you're like, I thought you were a nice, likable guy. You're truly evil.
I haven't made it through Broadchurch though.
Yeah. Oh, I loved Broadchurch, and I think he's really good in Broadchurch, and that falls into that classic UK thing. Cop with a lot of issues trying to solve a really horrible crime, and that's him with
Judi Dench.
We've talked about her
Queen?
about 1,000 times.
Olivia Colman.
Olivia Colman. I think she comes up in every single episode, doesn't she?
And he's also in the Harry Potter franchise, like almost every single actor over there too.
Right.
He plays Barty Crouch Jr. He's a bad guy.
Yeah,
and he's a creepy bad guy in it too.
So I saw part of one of these. He was doing this weird kind of Zoom thing, I believe, or Instagram, maybe Zoom. He's been doing things like these little vignettes with another actor. Have you guys seen this?
No, I'm not sure.
And it's all during COVID, right? So they.
Oh no! I did see it, and they were going back and forth about roles they didn't get. It's him and he plays David Frost in Frost and Nixon. It's that guy. And they go back and forth. They're about the same age. And they go back and forth talking about their lives and about movie roles that they didn't get, knowing the other guy got it. Just going like, oh, were you ever in Doctor Who? And he's like, well, I did audition. I would have been one of the doctors after this guy, but before this guy. And you're like, oh, I never heard back. I don't know what happened. And they go back and forth about it. It's actually pretty funny.
Michael Sheen.
Michael Sheen. That's what it is. And I saw one of them the other day, and they were going back and forth about their careers because I guess they're roughly the same age and they overlap in terms of the roles they go out for.
Yep, a fictionalized version of themselves trying to rehearse stuff during video conferencing. It looks really funny. I think there's been like 10 or 12 episodes, I believe. So that's something kind of fun to check out. Well, we talked about his show earlier, and I don't even know how to say his last name. Sam
Hewen.
What's his deal beyond Outlander?
I think he might have been like a soap opera guy over there.
Oh, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
Who kind of worked his way into like the next big thing, that he was in some stuff, and this is his big step.
So he's not just another pretty face?
Because I don't believe he was that old when he got the role. Well, he's in his 30s or something when he picked it up. So
he's like does some stuff with Lefroy, right? They throw his name out there a lot.
He's affiliated with them somehow.
And he has his own whiskey called the Sassenach.
Oh, that's right.
That he came out with too.
Now, he didn't open a distillery, did he?
No, I think that's just a brand he's taking from somebody else who's making stuff. I'm not exactly sure if they've disclosed who the other distillery is, but he did something with them.
Well, the other person I have on this list, and there's of course many more. Mr. Connery.
I was going to say you can't leave him off the list.
No.
Was he Scottish? I had no idea. Was he Scottish?
He might have been Scottish.
Oh, people don't know that. It's true. Any thoughts on favorites from Mr. Connery?
My favorite, besides the Bond roles, I really, really love him in his Elliot Ness Untouchables movie. He's just so good. He's just so good in that movie.
I would love to see that again.
That's been on quite a bit, and I get sucked into it every single time.
He's just so good in that movie.
Just like a thief and wop, bringing a knife to a gunfight.
What are you prepared to do?
I like he's playing an Irish guy, too.
Yeah, he's really good.
The Hunt for Red October, of course.
Oh, Hunt for October.
He's passed away a few months ago, right?
Yes.
A lot of there was a lot of memorials for him. He really changed the way we looked at stars on in television or in movie, and the guy who likes the women and saves the day and fights the evil empire. He was really unique in taking that role. Look, it's like one of the biggest franchises in movie history, right? It doesn't happen without him.
Yeah.
At the time, I don't know who else was up for it. There was other people that played it, but he took it to a different level.
And I think that he set the bar, and everybody else is trying to live up to it and trying to make it their own. But everyone's still looking back, going, "They're really good." Everyone,
you want to be him. You don't want to be Roger Moore, right? To some extent.
Yeah,
I think. I was going to put on this list, but I wasn't sure if he was Scottish. Was the lead in A Succession?
Brian Cox is Scottish. He is Scottish.
Yeah. Going back to Connery, though, you know what's really good with him? Did you ever see The Man Who Will Be King?
Yeah.
Yes.
With him and Michael Caine.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is really, really good.
It is really good.
I think it's on. You know where it is?
HBO Max.
HBO Max. Yeah, I was tempted to put on a Connery movie the other night, and I was looking to see what they had. And I think they had The Man Who Will Be King and a couple others. I can't think of what they were, but I was very tempted to put that one on because that's fun.
And he did what? Russia House was the one big one, right?
Yeah, with Michelle Pfeiffer.
With Michelle Pfeiffer, and then he did Entrapment with Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So back to Brian Cox for a moment.
Yes.
Any thoughts on him? I think he's just a wonderful actor.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Oh,
he is
in the range. He's in Troy.
That's right.
And he's in Super Troopers. That's a pretty big range.
That's a lot of range. Yeah, he's all over the place.
He played Hannibal Lecter in the first in Manhunter.
He was really good, right? Hannibal Lecter. And I think he was probably better than Hopkins, frankly.
He was terrifying as Hannibal Lecter.
Yes, he was.
And now he's in Succession, where he plays kind of an old guy. Just screw you, I'm not doing anything.
Have you watched Succession yet, Mike?
I haven't. I've seen like the vignettes and then like they do like the power scenes. I've seen some of that stuff where he puts his sons down. Which is that's a joy to watch because I have sons and I like putting them down too. The other guy you didn't have on the list who I really like is David McCallum. He was the man from U.N.C.L.E. He played Ilya Kuryakin early on, but now he's on one of the shows I watch all the time, NCIS, where he plays Ducky Dr. Donald Millard, where he's just really good. And they actually make fun of him at one point where they say, "What?" Because he's an old man. He's 87 now. And he said, "What was he like when he was younger?" And the Mark Harmon character says, "Did you ever see The Man from U.N.C.L.E.? He looked a lot like Ilya Kuryakin." Where you're like, wait a minute.
That was the era of the sexy guy on TV who plays the spy. Shall we? Would you like to hear another?
There's a couple other guys that made the list. I had.
Who do you have there?
You got James McAvoy.
Now he was in what was that? X. Something or other, X Marks the Spot, X. I'm not really sure.
He's got a pretty good career going.
Well, and there's another. We talked about Ewan McGregor stepping into a role that was, Sir Alec Guinness.
Right.
He's stepping into the role which was Sir Patrick Stewart. You're like, wow, this is again. How about that?
Oh, the first thing I saw him in was. Did you ever see The Last King of Scotland?
Yeah.
Which was really good. I really liked that, and that was probably one of the better performances by what's his name?
Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, Forrest Whitaker was really good in that, and he wasn't. Well, he was a crazy character, but he was. The character actually made some sense. Yeah. As opposed to some of the things he's been doing lately. Yeah. But that was really good. That's the first time I ever saw McAvoy, and I liked him in that. And I think he's in Atonement with Keira Knightley.
Yeah.
He's Atonement. He's also in Atomic Blonde.
Oh, yeah. I got to go back to that.
That was a fun movie.
I need to go back to that movie.
Yep. Fun movie.
Also, Peter Capaldi.
Oh, yeah, Peter Capaldi.
Who I really like. He's pretty good.
And Peter Capaldi was also one of the doctors in Doctor Who.
That's right. He was.
He's got such an interesting look.
Yeah,
he looks like a 80s new wave band lead singer.
He does have that look to him.
He's a Glaswegian, I believe. As I recall.
He did a movie with what's his name, with James Gandolfini. I can't think of the name of the movie now, though. It wasn't.
He's a local hero too, by the way.
Who is?
Peter Capaldi.
Oh, is he?
Yep.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
In the Loop.
In the Loop.
Right?
That was pretty good. He's vicious, man. That guy can curse. He can curse with style. I love it.
If he is Scottish, I think that comes with the territory.
I think so, you bastard. He was really, really good. So yeah, Peter Capaldi, John Hannah. We mentioned Peter Milan. John Hannah was in what's it called? He was in I think he was in Four Weddings and a Funeral.
So I didn't know this guy's name, and I talked about this recently. He's in this one of our episodes. He's got a really good accent too. He's in this show that's out of Canada called. He plays the head of a hospital, a teaching hospital, and a Syrian refugee who's a doctor.
Oh yeah, you talked about this one.
Yeah, I cannot.
Transplant.
Yeah, transplant. Yeah. I think that's what it's called. And he's the head of the hospital. And there are times when I cannot understand a word he's saying. He's got a good accent.
That's funny.
Yep.
That's funny. We mentioned Brian Cox, and then of course you have Gerard Butler.
That's what was on the list. I was going to say Gerard Butler is one of the younger guys.
I don't know if I like him or not. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
He's very funny when he's on. He's been on Howard Stern a couple times. He's very funny, but I'm not totally sure if I'm a big fan of his or not.
There's a movie of his. There's a movie on Netflix. So our favorite podcast, they've got this whole thing now, like trash crime movies.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one movie where he plays a cop in L.A. And I mean, it's really like a ripoff of Heat to a huge degree. I can't think of the name of the movie though. I cannot remember it, but he plays a cop, and he's just like a absolute lunatic.
Huh.
He's an absolute lunatic.
Isn't he? He's 300, right? In 300.
Yeah, he's 300. Yeah. And he is the father in what's it called? How to Train Your Dragon.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Another kind of Scottish movie. Sort of.
You're wearing your mother's breastplate on your head.
I
say for you.
Everyone has a Scottish accent except Jay Baruchel.
Right.
Billy Connolly. Who is?
Isn't Billy Connolly in it?
Yes, I think he's the king, isn't he?
He is. No, he's Gerard Butler's right hand man. Isn't he? Is he like the blacksmith or something?
Oh, that sounds right.
No, in How to Train Your Dragon, that's Craig Ferguson.
Oh, it's Ferguson. Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong guy.
He's Stoic the Vast, and the other guy is I can't think what his name is. Stoic the Vast.
Oh, also, but actually, they got a lot of people don't have the kids don't have accents because they've got America Ferrara. Is that her name?
Yeah, we got American people in it.
Who was the guy that was on Silicon Valley? The one that left?
T.J. Miller.
T.J. Miller.
T.J. Miller is one of the kids. One of the folks.
And Jonah Hill and Jay Baruchel or Barrick,
which is odd. I guess you have to grow into your accent.
Maybe
that's the moral of the story.
Yeah, you can be a Viking, but you cannot have an accent.
Until you become.
The next generation has no accent.
When you slay your dragon, then you become a Viking. You get a true Scottish accent.
He's in Law Abiding Citizen, where he just wreaks havoc in Philadelphia.
Who?
Which was great.
Gerard Butler. He plays a guy who goes to jail, and then he takes his vengeance on the DA, on the judge that settled the case and everything. It's all set in Philadelphia, and he engineers he can leave the prison because no one knows where he is, and he's got this tunnel system. It's really intricate how he puts this thing together, and he's in all those Olympus Has Fallen movies. Olympus Has Fallen, all that, where they're just fun to watch. But he does a thing where he talks about how he's in a movie with Hilary Swank where he dies. Yep. And he's in the movie with Lena Headey and he dies. And he's in another movie and he's like, just once, I would like to live. These women, I keep dying. I don't understand. Oh, the movie I was talking about, Den of Thieves.
Den of Thieves.
Yeah, it was kind of trashy, but it was kind of fun.
Well, I think we all like Scottish actors. I think there's quite a few of them.
I think there's a lot of them out there, and they all seem to come across. And
and then there's the ladies. I think they've been underrepresented here.
We're gonna get to those.
Do you want to pour whiskey?
Should we have some more whiskey?
I think so.
We'll move on to the next one.
I think we're gonna do the Single Cask Nation, Port Charlotte 14-year-old.
Okay. I can
You
do
guys have
that.
that one?
Yes, we do. Hey.
This is not a whiskey with a 5.
It's got a 6.
It's not
You're
a
right.
6.
It's not. There's no 5 in this at all.
6.
0.
Oh my God! It pours like
It pours like mud. Look at that.
Point.
For those in the podcast, look at that.
Good God.
That is dark. Looks like maple syrup.
So let me give you a little bit of note on
Oh
this.
my God! It's even darker in the bottle. It's like the Lac Du.
Is that a Verna?
It's a Verna. It's a digestif.
14 years in a first fill Oloroso hogshead, heavily peated, cask 1142, distilled November 2002, bottled September 2017, one of 264 bottles. According to our friend's notes on the bottle, this rust-colored Port Charlotte sherry monster reverberates with notes of dark wood, boozy dark chocolate, and Mexican dark chocolate. And are you afraid of the dark?
Yes.
So, yes, really. So a little bit of background on this bottle. Michael Nolan, our friend in Chicago, a member of Single Cask Nation, he had some friends, I believe, from Chicago who were in Scotland, and they got a little tickle up their tush to buy a cask of whiskey. Like, I want to buy a cask of whiskey. It's going to be fun. I'm going to be cool. And they went to Bruichladdich, and I guess Bruichladdich would be happy to sell you a cask. But then there's all the little details about buying a cask of whiskey. What's that really mean? And they don't just give it to you to put in in your luggage to bring home from Scotland. There's a lot of work involved, and they had no clue what it involved at all. So they talked to Michael and said, "Michael, do you know anyone that could help us? Because you need an export license. There's all kinds of stuff that we don't talk about much, but there's a lot of details." So of course, Michael thought of Jason and Joshua from Single Cask Nation, who this is what they do. And so they went to help these folks out. And ultimately, this became a Single Cask Nation bottling, which I believe they bought the whole cask from this person who already bought the cask, or they bought part of the cask and then bottled these 264 bottles. 264 is probably not a full cask, right?
Yeah, it'd be like over 300, I think.
So maybe the rest of it went to this other couple,
guys,
this couple who didn't understand what it meant to bottle
Absolutely.
cask. And so the benefit of that was that Single Cask Nation and the members were able to buy this one. It was very special because you don't see Port Charlotte's too often as on an independent bottling. So, cheers, boys.
This is great. It's really nice.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Hey, speaking of cheers, you got another. You have another toast here. Have we addressed the haggis?
Oh, we should talk about addressing the haggis. So, for those who don't have never been to a Burns dinner, one of the highlights is addressing the haggis, bringing the haggis in and blessing it to some extent.
Does everyone know what haggis is?
Well, maybe we'll have Mike explain that because he seems like a haggis eater.
I have to know what haggis is. So you basically make a nice sausage of some sort, and you decide to put it in a sheep's stomach. So that's what it is. It's a very hearty dish. I'm guessing that everyone has their own little secrets behind it. The one that we had up at the Shakespeare, the 2 years we went up there for Burns Night, were very nice. It wasn't scary in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, delicious.
They're quite tasty. And I'm guessing that depending on the family recipes, it's something you can and can't do. It's in a sheep's stomach, which for a long time in the U.S. you could not get haggis because they're worried about mad cow disease.
I think you still can't get real haggis here.
I'm not entirely sure if you can or you can't, but they're very concerned about any sheep, anythings coming into the U.S.
But it's a lot of scraps, mad cow disease. Go into it?
And it's just the scraps. It's snips and stales and puppy dog tails that go into it.
And then they put some grain in there.
They put everything in. It's a little grainy, a little like mealy, like they put probably some kind of oats or barley or wheat or something in it.
Right.
And it's quite hearty. And I think it's the sort of thing that a generation that did not, or a country that did not have lots of protein, didn't let anything go to waste.
That's right.
So once you were finished with all the parts you might want to eat, we found use for the other parts. And it's the sort of thing. It's a famous dish over there, and I think people take great pride in the way they make it.
A little note on haggis. In 1971, it became illegal to import haggis into the U.S. from the U.K. due to a ban on food containing sheep lung, which constitutes 10 to 15% of the recipe. The ban encompasses all lungs, as fluids such as stomach acid and phlegm may enter the lung during slaughter. So you cannot get real traditional haggis here, so you get some version of it here. I know I bought some frozen haggis here at a local British store, and it all came from New Jersey. It was made in New Jersey. So
all the good stuff comes from Jersey.
There you go. But had haggis in Scotland, and I don't know that it was, I could tell the difference between the stuff there and the stuff here. There's vegetarian haggis too. So,
That's a crime.
That's not haggis.
That's a crime.
But it gets a bad name, but it's good. Good luck to you and your honest plump face, great chieftain of the sausage race. Above them all, you take your place, stomach, tripe, or intestines. Well, are you worthy of a grace? As long as I am. As my arm, sorry.
No bad Scottish accent?
You want it in a bad Scottish accent? I give it to a bad Scottish accent. Fair fay, your honest sonsy face, great chieftain, oh, the puddin' race. Aboon them, ye take your place. Paint stripe or therm, weel are ye worthy a grace as long as my arm.
You sound like the great Scottish actor John Malkovich as KP in Rounders.
My apologies to anyone Scottish, anyone with ears, anyone cares.
Haunted. That was a haunted accent.
A little bit more of Burns trivia. 2009, little Burns fun fact. Rabbie Burns became the first person to appear on a bottle of
Whiskey.
Coca-Cola.
Really?
Oh.
Get out of here.
Oh.
They started doing commemorative bottlings, and he was the first.
So he sold out. He totally sold out. He's a sellout, that's what I'm hearing.
Scots Actresses. Got a couple on this list, and of course there's more. So we'll start with who we talked about was Kelly MacDonald.
Yes, I like Kelly.
I'm a big fan. Trainspotting.
Your Boardwalk Empire girl, right?
Boardwalk Empire. Brave.
Mrs. Thompson.
That's right.
She was Irish, though, right?
She's Irish in that.
She's in Natty McPhee.
I just think she's a really wonderful actress.
You know what she's good into? Have you ever seen Gosford Park?
No, I wanted to see that.
That's Robert Altman.
Mary McKeithlin.
Robert Altman? Is that one of his last movies?
I think that might be one of his last films.
Yeah,
so she's in Gosford. A lot of people are in Gosford Park. My God, everybody's in Gosford Park.
He's the king of ensemble casts, right?
Oh my God, yeah. Him, I think Clive Owen, Maggie Smith. It's just a crazy cast. It's a very good movie, but she's great in it.
I think she takes tiny roles and makes them bigger.
Yep.
And she takes big roles and can soften them up, where she's the lead actress, like in Brave, and she can bring it down to everybody else, but be really loud. And she looks like a small person. She can be very big in her roles and really take over the screen. But then she can take these moments where she's like in Boardwalk Empire, where she's just this little part of the screen, but still has presence. I think she's just really, really great. And probably hasn't gotten her due, I think.
Yeah.
She's 5'3".
There you go.
Like you said.
Small. And you got a couple names?
What else we got? We got Laura Fraser.
Yeah, I had
her
her
on
on
the list.
list.
You mentioned. I only really know her from two things.
I loved her
in A Knight's Tale.
I loved her in Knight's Tale. She was great in Knight's Tale.
So great in Knight's Tale.
The blacksmith.
And held her own with, like you said, plays to the audience. She was big enough, but stayed within the ensemble for that, raucous cast.
Yep.
It was really well done. I like that movie a lot.
What else did you say, Angie? Did you say Breaking Bad?
Yeah, she's great in Breaking Bad.
She is. And Better Call Saul, right? She's in both.
I don't know if she's in Better Call Saul yet.
Yeah. No, I think she was.
Yeah.
Was she?
I think she was in this last season.
Okay. Yeah.
She was also in a show. Again, back to the UK crime drama. It was a TV show. called, in the UK it was called One of Us, and then it got repackaged for Netflix called Retribution, and it's about a family who live out in the middle of nowhere, kind of rich family, I guess. They have some big, maybe not rich, have a farm somewhere in the middle of nowhere in Scotland in the Highlands, and there's a death, a murder, and the family tries to hide it.
Okay.
And Laura Fraser becomes the detective on the case to figure it all out. And it's probably like 6 episodes. She's great. And she's got her own personal issues in this. Every other detective and every other show from the UK. It was very good. What else you got, Ange?
Well, we got who I didn't realize was Scottish till recently, Karen Gillan.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea she was Scottish.
And to get 2 different characters from playing on Guardians of the Galaxy and playing in Jumanji, where you wouldn't think that was the same person, where it's just amazing because of all the makeup and they shave her head or whatever they're doing to make her in Guardians of the Galaxy as a large blue robot. and to be Ruby Roundhouse in Jumanji, it's just amazing to me.
When I saw Jumanji, I thought, who is this actress? She's like amazing. She must be like brand new. Turns out she's got this, career. And I think her other career, she's a director, right?
Oh, is she?
Yeah, I think she's a director.
Okay.
She's also in Doctor Who.
Yeah, another Doctor Who.
Yep.
It's like a rite of passage with the actors, right? They all have to be in Doctor Who or Harry Potter, one or the other.
That's right. and maybe even Lord of the Rings.
You know who else is Scottish? Tilda Swinton.
I was just she was my next person.
She's very odd looking.
She's weird. She's very weird, but I like her.
She's so watchable.
Uh-huh.
Like you can't take your eyes off of her. She's in Constantine, and she's crazy. She's in Michael Clayton. She plays, the Ancient One in Doctor Strange. Everything about her, you just can't not watch her. She's just really compelling to watch.
You know what she kind of reminds me of? Remember Charlotte Rampling?
Yeah.
She kind of has that kind of quality, like just the way the roles are. Like how she is in Michael Clayton is a lot like Charlotte Rampling in The Verdict. Just kind of making things move and making things happen, and she's very, very good. I forgot she was in Doctor Strange. She was really good in Doctor Strange.
She's the Ancient One, and again, you don't realize it's her. She's the character. She's not Tilda Swinton. She's the Ancient One.
She's one of those actors who's highly. I think what you're saying, Mike, is she's very magnetic. Yeah. She draws you into the screen. Angie didn't watch Game of Thrones, but she was one of those actors in the show that you waited for her. You wanted an episode with her to be in it. And when you didn't have one with her in it, you were disappointed. Yeah. She is just great. Yeah. And I didn't realize she was Scottish either.
Yeah. Well, apparently she was born in London, but her parents were Scottish.
Ah, okay.
So she's Scottish descent. So
anybody else? Any other actresses?
There was one thing I was watching. I've been watching the show Warrior. And remember that show you were just talking about, Retribution or One of Us? There's a woman, Joanna Vanderham, and she is in Warrior. And she's pretty good. She's pretty good in this show. So that's the only thing I've ever seen her in. But she's in the show you just mentioned. That's the only reason why I bring her up.
It feels like the scales are tipped a bit towards the male side of the big name actors versus the female side.
Well, two more to throw out. An old timer, Deborah Kerr.
Deborah Kerr, yeah.
6 Academy Award nominations, never won. And Isla Fisher was born to Scottish parents.
Yeah,
which I didn't know. I thought she was Australian. I didn't realize that her parents were Scottish and then moved to Australia.
But I noticed with the women, though, I think there's probably a little more versatility with the women in terms of the roles they're taking.
Boy, all over the place.
I mean, Kelly MacDonald's done very convincing Irish. She's been Scottish. She's played West Texas, which she did a pretty, I don't know if it's a good West Texas accent, but she was convincing.
Yeah.
I would have believed it in No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, I think you're right. There is a versatility there with all of them. But, the men are all over the place, too.
Yeah.
So we do like the actors and actresses, don't we? How are we doing on our whiskey, boys?
We got 3 down.
Whiskey. We like whiskey.
And you know what whiskey we really like? the stuff from Scotland.
We do like that, don't we?
And I haven't been there yet. So, you guys can go on now if you want and just, tell me about how wonderful it is and how great the distilleries are and how beautiful the country is and how nice the people are.
Well, we've talked about this thing a few times during the night.
I'm going to assume my invite got lost in the mail. You bastard.
Our next whiskey, I'm going to move on a little bit, boys.
Yeah.
Which is something we talked about a little bit. Game of Thrones. It's a Game of Thrones, one of the Game of Thrones bottlings from Diageo. This is a Klein Leash coming towards the end of the series, Game of Thrones. Diageo gets involved and they do a bottling from each of their major distilleries for each of the families or main clans in Game of Thrones. All special bottlings, all special labels, all special cans. And I think there's like 9 of them, I believe. You can get, initially they were all about $100, maybe a little bit less, somewhere around $100 a piece. Now you can get some of them for as low as $25 a piece. I don't know if they might have made too many, I'm thinking. But the Klein Leash is one of the only ones I think that's cask strength. It's 51.2%. And I don't know too much about it. I'm assuming it's just a bourbon cask. It's called Klein Leash Reserve, and it honors the House Tyrrell.
And Diageo runs through their lineup, so it's like a Dalwhinnie, a Singleton, a Cardew, Lagavulin, Oban, Talisker,
Correct.
Royal Lochnagar. So they're all out there. And then they have some smaller bottlings, or not smaller, but like a lesser. It's not a house. It's Johnny Walker and the White Walker.
Right.
Are both part of it. So I think in all it's like 10 or 12 bottlings, something like that. And like you said, when it first came out, it was very pricey. And now I think it's fun to get if you want to keep whiskey under the house, but it's maybe not something that people are going to rush out to get. And some of the bottlings, I don't necessarily know that you'd spend a whole lot of money for some of those distillers. So maybe the prices have come back down to maybe where they should have been.
Yep. I was gifted a couple of them of bottles I wouldn't ever probably buy because they're not in my wheelhouse distillery-wise. But it's fun to have.
Nice.
The one, actually the first one I had, one of the first ones I had was actually at your house, Mike. When I was there a couple years ago, somebody had brought the Oban bottle, which is the Night's Watch bottling, which is different. Right. It's a black bottle, or a black bottle and a black can, I believe. Where all the other ones are this kind of beige looking thing. And then we saw the one I would really like to try, which I've not, is the Mortlock, which Mark Gillespie had at his house when we were there.
The next time you come east, we'll have to go and raid his house.
Raid his house, yeah. I can tell you the Lagavulin, which actually is pretty good. It's a 8-year-old.
Didn't one of them, the price tumbled on them?
The Lagavulin, K&L had the Lagavulin, has the Lagavulin for $25. So when that kind of made the rounds here in LA, most of my friends all picked up a bottle or two, and I think they still have them.
Yeah, at that price, buy 2 because that's
$25.
Lagavulin's good. We just had one. It's good.
The Talisker is good too. It wasn't. It's not great. It's good. So, cheers to another little bottling, little glass.
Wait.
We got ding.
Now we're in.
Clink, clink. We're going to go into what we might watch now. We normally talk about things that are, just on our horizon in general, but we kind of keep the theme going here with Burns Night. Scottish things. Now, Mike, you mentioned Men in Kilts coming to Scotland.
I'm all in on that.
So I am really excited about that.
Because I think it's got to feel like almost like Top Gear or like the Grand Tour, where it's just kind of, a couple of guys having a good time and just being a little ridiculous. Yeah.
And Gilo sent me the link, and I clicked on it, and it's the preview for what it is. So I gave it to my significant other, and her first comment was, "We have to sign up for 6 months, and then we'll just cancel. We'll sign up for 6 months and cancel." Because she is, I don't know what they call a Sam Heughan fan, a Heughanite, whatever. She is, she's all over Sam Heughan. I just think it looks hysterical. They show them at like the Scottish games, throwing a cable tour and doing all the other stuff. It just looks like two knuckleheads traveling around Scotland. And as you know, having been there and seen a little bit of the countryside, it's got to be just so picturesque. And they're just nuts doing stuff.
Okay, and I think it starts Valentine's Day, I believe. I think it's middle of February. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. That just looks fun.
What's the other guy's name? McTavish?
Graham McTavish. He's actually in The Hobbit, playing the largest of the dwarves. And he is just a great, again, another guy who takes over the screen and he embodies the character, and you just watch him. You don't realize it's Graham McTavish anymore. It's whoever he says he is. You know, it's just a really good actor. He and Sam Hewen wrote a book called Clanslands, Whiskey, Warfare, and a Scottish Adventure Like No Other. And it's #1 on the New York Times bestseller list.
What the heck?
For a hardcover nonfiction. So apparently he's now a celebrated author as well. And he's a Glaswegian, so you can't trust him, but you watch him on stuff because those guys in Glasgow, I don't know.
Well, Glasgow is like the Naples of Scotland, right?
Apparently.
A friend of mine told me about this show, and I want to watch it. It's called Hamish Macbeth.
Never heard of it.
I think it's a BBC, but it's from Scotland, and it's about a more of a bumbling detective. It's less, I think, super serious, and it's more humorous. That one sounds interesting.
And who plays Hamish?
The actor was not someone I knew. It was
Robert Carlyle.
Oh, was it Robert Carlyle?
It's Robert Carlyle, who was in Trainspotting like everyone else.
Yeah.
Well, every other Scottish person, you mean?
They're all required to be in that, and then they get to work somewhere else.
So there's another one called Taggart, which is one of the longest running shows in. It's like Doctor Who. It's been on for 27 years.
Oh my God.
Or I'm not sure if it's still on. It started in 1983, and it's a British murder mystery show. I'm guessing some of the characters must change after a while. That's supposed to be very good too. Another one's Rebus. I heard Rebus is also another.
Now Rebus is based on Ian Rankin's books.
Ian Rankin. Yeah, it's Ian Rankin, and the actor is oh shoot,
it's the guy you just mentioned. It's John Hannah.
Oh, is it John Hannah?
It's John Hannah.
I think you're right. Yes,
he was in the Mummies and Forwardings and Funeral, and I don't believe he's in Trainspotting, but maybe he may have been in as well.
Nah, I don't think he
I
is.
don't know if that might be it looks like it's on Amazon Prime. So another one to maybe go back and look for.
Sure.
A new one I believe it's coming or it's out. It's called Loch Ness, and it stars our friend Laura Fraser.
As Mike would say, I do not know her. She is not my friend.
She is not my friend. I would like to know her. She is not my friend.
2017, and it's the majestic vastness of Loch Ness and the wild majesty of the Scottish Highlands form the setting for the 6-part murder mystery. Detective Annie Redford, played by Breaking Bad star Laura Fraser, is faced with the formidable and unnerving task of solving her first murders and catching the killer.
Does Nessie have a guest appearance?
It does not say. The body of a local man and a solitary human heart are found at the foot of Carnmore Mountain and the Loch Shore, raising fear in the tightly knit local community that a serial killer is walking amongst them. So that came out. I believe it is. You can get it on Acorn.
You know, Gilo, I was at Loch Ness.
Shut up, you bastard. I hate you.
I put my hand in Loch Ness.
By the way, when I get the HBO Max money, screw you.
I'm never going to see a share. Is that what you're saying?
You'll never see a penny. You won't see a shekel.
That seems fair.
One more that I put on there is one of these family drama shows called Monarch of the Glen. And it's about, I read this one, I think it's on Amazon Prime, is about a rich family, big castle, and a son who had gone away for years. The father dies, the son comes back. The mom says, you got to take over the family fortune, and he doesn't really want to. And he has to keep it all together. 7 seasons, 64 episodes. It looks kind of fun. Nothing crazy.
Is this a period piece or is this current?
Current. Looks current.
And it's like a Downton Abbey, but set in current times.
Yep. Well, I think one that we've talked about a little bit, we had an episode about it, was the Water of Life film that's coming out.
Oh, sure, the upcomer.
We didn't even talk about like whiskey movies, documentaries.
There's a bunch. There's so many right now.
There are a bunch.
Like Dave Broom had one recently.
Broom has a movie out, but they go back. There's been a number of them. The BBC had a series that you could watch on, I think, YouTube. It was like 4 episodes covering the whole whiskey and UK story. We could do the whole episode on that, I think, alone. But our friends from the Water of Life movie, their movie comes out in wide release next week. And I actually saw it a couple days ago myself. And I don't want to give too much away if we want to talk about it another time, but it was highly entertaining, really well done. Greg Schwartz, the director, great job. I highly recommend it when it comes out. They're kind of framing this thing, the opening around Burns Night.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I have to get my tickets so I can stream it online. Oh, there was one movie we didn't mention that was out a while ago, The Angel's Share.
That's right.
You remember that one?
I do. I saw that one.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. That was a pretty nice little movie.
Who's that? Who's the whiskey guy in that one?
Well, the director is Ken Loach, but it's who's the guy with the mustache? Charles McClane.
Charles McClane.
Yeah, I think Charles McClane has an appearance in it.
Yeah.
Well, that was pretty good. Wasn't it involved with like stealing a cask?
Yes.
Right? There was like some kind of a little heist thing going on.
And you love your heists.
And
I do. I love a good heist.
Mr. McClane's in Water
of Life. So the question is, though, when are we going to get to Scotland?
July. Who's with me?
I'm in.
I have a business meeting.
You need a secretary? Is that what you're saying?
Unfortunately, it looks like, Scotland right now is on pretty big lockdown. Well, at worst case, we've got Scottish TV and movies to watch to kind of keep our heart warm.
Bottles of Scotch whiskey to certainly keep our hearts warm.
Oh my God!
And our blood thin, which is very important.
Thank goodness for the bottles to keep us connected to our second homeland. That's for sure. So, gentlemen, this was another fun romp through
I think so.
Interesting category with Robert Burns Nicht coming up next week.
I agree. I'm wholeheartedly in support of this.
It was a fun look at some actors and actresses we haven't heard about in a while, and some fun movies and some things to look forward to. So here we go. This is the end of our episode 7. Haggis walks into a bar. Please check us out on all the famous places where you can see podcasts. And why don't you fill that in for the folks?
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Audible, or come to boozdancing.com. We'll be there for you. So subscribe, rate us. If you have any questions, comments, any topics you'd like us to discuss in the future, email us at boozdancing@gmail.com. We're done, guys.
We are done.
Cheers.
Cheers.